Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for college instructors. Today is something a bit different. I'm going to talk about what potentially to include in your personal academic website if you're someone who's either about to go in the job market or you will in the next year or two, or you're someone who's really passionate about your research and your teaching, you want to share with others, and you think a digital space is a great way to do it. I agree, it is. So I just want to show you some ideas of how you can design and what you can put into a personal website. So in this case, I'm going to show my WordPress site and we'll go from there. Now I want to make clear that my website is intended at this point to be kind of part of my side hustle, since I have the YouTube channel and I offer one-on-one consulting. But originally when I had this website, my navigation bar was quite different. So it basically is what's currently in my academia tab. So originally I had a welcome page, and I do think a welcome page should be part of your website, just talking about yourself and what they could find on your site. But then what I had the next section was teach, the section after that was research, and then I actually had a section about create for more of my creative expression. And then I had an about page as well. So that's just something you need to consider here, where you might have welcome, which is, hey, here's what you'll find on the website. And then about would be about yourself. So you could potentially split that into two different sections rather than one page. Of course, it's up to you. But I do think it's very helpful that when you get to my teach section, as you notice here, I have a page for all the courses that I taught. I also have a teaching philosophy page. And then when online teaching started happening because of that shift to online with COVID, I started a page about online teaching so I can list all of my relevant materials that I was creating for easy access. So, but before that, just going back to what to have a strong digital presence as a grad student or as someone on the job market, the academic job market, I do think having a page for all of your courses is very helpful. And it's not that I had a page for every section of the course, right? Because that would be quite a few pages. So if you go to these individually, I taught this course multiple times. I just have one page about it. And so if you make changes to your course, then you can just lengthen that page talking about, hey, this is iteration 2, these are the changes I made, iteration 3, and so forth. So just something to keep in mind, having a teach section that has all of your courses. And then kind of just to show you what that looks like in my website. So here's one course, the freshman composition course. And I basically have the syllabus. So here's the course description. Here are the learning outcomes that we have in this program. The final grade was broken up into these different assignments. And then again, I have the assignment descriptions. Hey, here's what we did as a class, and went on through there. Going to one of my literature examples. So this course, I have more details. So the course description, and then I had this section called additional notes, right? So this is when I talked about the reasoning behind these parts of my course. So I had the required book list, and here's some notes about that, right? So I could probably improve this by having maybe the font a different color or as like a call out box, so it's easy to see visually what's part of the actual syllabus versus what's my annotation for this particular website. But I do think it's really helpful to have this annotation, again, so a prospective colleague or hiring manager can see your thought process in your course design. So we go on down here, the assignments again, describing all the assignments. And then here's an example, right? Revisions for another version of this course. What changes did I make here and why? So that's listed. At the very bottom, I have just my top 5 resources, and they're all linked here as well, except for the databases, because that depends obviously on your university. So that's an example of a literature course. So I do think obviously it just depends on you. Maybe you'll just have a link to your actual syllabus on this page, and then you can just talk about your design, your style of teaching, your reasoning behind things on the page itself, because they can just link out to the syllabus. It doesn't have to be actually on the page. So it really depends on your personal style when designing these pages. And then Again, the final element in the teach section, this teaching philosophy. I think this is very important to have on your website if you're looking for teaching jobs, or maybe if you're just looking somewhere in the education career, so you want to have this information here. So I have this philosophy, which I updated, a few times. It's part of, a lot of times, the academic job search. They ask you for a teaching philosophy. So having it ready to go here makes it an even faster process when you're applying later on. So in this case, I have a lot of links to various blog posts on this website too, so that on this version of my philosophy, they can branch out and see more about how I perceive teaching. So that's the teach section. Then we have the research section. This is a lot more succinct for me because research was not my strong point, teaching was. But I have a page for conferences, a page for publications, and then a research statement. So for the conferences, I think this is really important to have as well. It literally just lists all of the conference presentations I did and a very quick either abstract or description of what the presentation was about. So I have here the title of the presentation, what conference was it at, the dates, etc. I have it from most recent to least. So you just kind of go through and you can see those descriptions. So this is great, again, to kind of show, hey, I'm staying up on the up and up in the field. I'm going out there, I'm networking, I'm doing the research. Here's what I'm fascinated by, all right? So that section I think is very important. And then publications, again, not my strong point because it's not something I really enjoyed, but very important for academia if you want an academic job. So in this case, again, just a citation of the publication and a quick description of it as well. So I included reviews that I did along with articles, book chapters would go in here. Really, it just depends on what you consider a publication in your field. And then finally, a research statement. So I never really got very into this, but it is something that I recommend because if you're applying to an R1 school, they might ask for a research statement as part of the application, and even other schools as well. So that's something to consider as well. What is your research statement? And just write it here on its own page. So those are the big two sections I feel should be on your personal website if you're an academic who wants to stay in academia, or again, if you just have ideas for industries that would appreciate knowing about your teaching and your research agendas. Now, what else can you put on here? I think having a blog is fantastic. The blog and YouTube channel really helped me to get my job as an associate instructional designer. So if you're looking for an alt-ac route or ed tech route, this could be great to kind of have a portfolio of your writing, a portfolio of your video creation skills, and then obviously information on what you're an expert in or what you're passionate about. So in this case, when you go to my blog, it's been a while since I posted actually, but I have various categories here. I do think organizing your blog posts by categories are important, especially when you start getting more and more into creating them. But this could be a really big aspect of a website as well. If you wanted to make it more interactive and gain audience members and have a community where they can comment on your post, this might be one thing to include as well. Now the YouTube literally goes to my YouTube channel, so I'm not gonna click here. Obviously, if you have a YouTube channel, having it in your navigation bar would be fantastic to make it easy to access for people who end up on your website. But another thing that I do think you should include, even if you're not trying to make this a side hustle, it's just your personal website, I think the resource library can be really informational, again, to your potential audience. So if you have a blog where you're talking about or writing about your research interest, or not, maybe you love gardening and you're just blogging about gardening, if you have like a little hey, these are the steps for figuring out if your plant needs more or less water, or hey, here's this guide to finding the best soil for your different vegetables, right? Whatever the case may be. I think having these available for your audience would be great. And it's up to you to decide, how you want to do this. You can make it just a regular page on your website where people can go to and they can download what you're creating. Maybe you have them all in a Google Drive folder and they can just click the link and download it. In my case, when you go to this page, there is a password. It's password protected. So if you're part of my email newsletter, then you'll have that password and you can enter into it and see all of my resources. So in this case, let me just enter it into here. And so here are all of my resources. So they just click and they can download whatever it is they want to use. So you go on through, right? And I have quite a bit because obviously my blog has been around for a few years now. So that's just, again, one way I design my library. Mine's private, yours can be public, depending on what you want to use it for. So that's it. This is obviously a link that goes to my page for consult calls. Again, this video, the point is not to talk about side hustling. It's about a personal academic website. So to kind of like wrap up, I do think a welcome page that describes, hey, this is what you can find on this website is useful. So in this case, literally I say, what can you find? I have links to some of my top posts. I have links to my YouTube channel. I talk about what they can find in various pages on my site, right? So definitely like a navigation roadmap to the website. Then the about page is about me, right? About my journey as an educator and so on. So that's that section, right? And then again, I recommend having a teach section and a research section as well, and then potentially a blog if you want to make it more interactive. So on the whole, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential parts to your navigation for your website. Now this is obviously one of a more complex approach. It is summer, so maybe you have the time to build that much. But if you don't, then literally it can just be, about you, a page about your teaching, a page about your research, right? 3 different things. And you can build as you go. Is that still too much? Okay, just start with a 1-page website, right? So on the about page, you start talking about yourself, and then you have a section about your teaching and a section about your research. And it's just all on 1 page, right? Very succinct. Maybe you link out to different documents, or whatever the case may be, of things you've created. But it can start as simple as 1 page. And then as you have more time and gain more experience with the tool, then you can build from there. So that's just some ideas on how to design or go about creating your personal academic website.